The battlefield was quiet in a strange way, the kind of quiet that followed great violence. Burned metal lay scattered across the black ground, still warm from recent explosions. Smoke drifted slowly into a dark red sky. Broken machines flickered with dying lights, and the bodies of soldiers, human and alien, were left where they had fallen. Captain Aaron Hale moved carefully through the wreckage. His armor was scratched, his left arm burned, and his helmet display kept warning him about low power. He had been separated from his unit hours ago during the orbital strike. Communication was gone. Extraction was unlikely. Still, he moved forward. Aaron was human, and humans did not stop just because the odds were bad. He scanned the area, weapon raised, eyes alert. This planet was enemy territory, ruled by the Karzal Empire, one of humanity's most dangerous rivals. Their species was larger than humans, stronger, and protected by thick natural armor. Most humans believed meeting one alone meant death. Then, his scanner picked up a weak life signal. Aaron froze. The signal was not human. He followed it slowly, stepping over shattered drones and collapsed stone. Behind a fallen transport ship, he saw her. She was enormous compared to him. Even lying on the ground, her body was covered in dark blue armored skin, cracked and bleeding in several places. One of her forearms was twisted at a wrong angle. Her breathing was shallow and uneven. A broken crown-like device lay beside her head. Aaron recognized her immediately. She was a high matron of the Karzal, a queen. If she lived, she was one of the most powerful beings in this part of the galaxy. If she died, the war might change overnight. His finger tightened on the trigger. Every rule of war told him what to do. This enemy had ordered attacks that killed millions. Her death would be a victory. No one would blame him. But then the queen's eyes opened. They were large, golden, and filled with pain, but also fear. She tried to move and failed. A low, broken sound escaped her throat. Aaron lowered his weapon. He cursed quietly. "Damn it," he muttered. He stepped closer, slowly, making sure she could see his empty left hand. Her eyes followed him. Her breathing grew faster. She expected death. Instead, he knelt. Aaron checked his scanner again. Her injuries were severe. Internal bleeding, poison from her own damaged bioarmor leaking into her system. Without treatment, she would be dead within an hour. His medkit was designed for humans. Using it on an alien was risky. It might not work. It might kill her faster.
He hesitated for only a second. Humans did not leave wounded beings to die.
Not if they could help. "I don't know if you understand me," he said quietly, his voice calm, "but I'm going to try." The queen watched him closely as he worked. She did not resist, though her body trembled when he touched her. He used his scanner to translate basic biological data. Her body was different, but not impossible to understand. Pain was universal. Life was universal. He sealed open wounds, injected stabilizing compounds at low doses, and used a portable field to support her damaged organs. Sweat rolled down his face as alarms flashed red. One wrong move could end her life. Or his. Minutes passed, like hours. Outside the wreckage, distant sounds echoed. Enemy patrols. Searching. Aaron knew staying was dangerous. But moving her now would kill her. So he stayed. He positioned himself between her and the open battlefield, weapon ready. When patrol drones passed nearby, he powered down all signals and held his breath. Once an explosion shook the ground so hard debris fell over them both. He shielded her with his body without thinking. The queen noticed. Her eyes never left him. Hours later, her breathing became steadier. The bleeding slowed. She was still unconscious but alive. Aaron let out a long breath and leaned back against the wreckage. His body screamed in pain. His suit power was almost gone. He laughed softly, tired and bitter. "Saving an alien queen," he said to himself. No one's going to believe this. When the queen finally woke again, the sky had darkened further. Strange stars burned above them. She tried to speak, but her voice was weak. The translator in Aaron's suit activated. "Why do you live?" she asked. "Because I wasn't planning on dying today." Her eyes narrowed slightly. "You are human."
Yeah, you know who I am. I figured it out. You know what my people have done to yours. He nodded.
"Hard to miss." "Then why?" she asked slowly. "Did you not end me?" Aaron considered the question. He thought of his home, of his sister, of the cities he had seen burned, of the friends he had buried. Then he looked at the wounded queen in front of him. "Because you were dying," he said simply, "and I was there." The queen was silent for a long time. Among her people, mercy was weakness. Compassion was a flaw. Enemies were destroyed, not saved. Yet here she was, alive, because an enemy chose otherwise. "You risked your life," she said. "Still am." She shifted down slightly, pain flashing across her face. "If my warriors find you—" "Yeah, I know," Aaron said. "They'll kill me." "No," she corrected softly. "They will torture you," he shrugged. "Still beats letting someone bleed out alone." The queen closed her eyes briefly. When she opened them again, something had changed. "My name," she said, "is Threxia Varun." "Matron Queen of the Karzal. Aaron Hale," he replied. "Captain. Human Expeditionary Forces." Threxia studied him as if seeing him for the first time, not as prey, not as enemy, but as something unfamiliar. "Among my people," she said, "a life saved creates a bond." "Yeah? Humans just call it doing the right thing." She did not understand the phrase, but she felt its meaning. In the distance, engines roared. Friendly to her, deadly to him. Threxia sensed it too. "You must leave," she said. "Now." Aaron shook his head. "You can't move yet." "My guards will reach me soon," she said. "If they find you here." "I know." She looked at him, truly looked, and saw exhaustion, pain, and stubborn resolve. "You are an unusual species," she said. He grinned. "We get that a lot." The transports landed minutes later. Elite Karzal warriors surrounded the wreckage, weapons raised. They froze when they saw their queen alive. They froze even harder when they saw the human standing protectively beside her, weapons aimed at him instantly. Threxia raised one trembling hand. "Stand down," she commanded. Her warriors hesitated, shocked. "This human," she said clearly, "saved my life." Silence spread like fire. Aaron slowly stepped back, hands raised. "Well," he said quietly, "this is where I get arrested or killed." Threxia's eyes met his. "No," she said, "this is where the galaxy changes." As the warriors carefully lifted their queen, none of them dared touch the human. And for the first time in centuries, a human walked through the heart of an alien empire, not as a prisoner, but as a debt the stars themselves would not forget. The journey to the Karzal capital was silent and tense. Aaron Hale stood inside the transport bay, surrounded by armored alien warriors. Their weapons were lowered, but their eyes never left him. The air was heavy, sharp with unfamiliar scents and quiet judgment. The queen lay on a floating medical platform nearby. Advanced alien healers worked carefully around her, their movements precise and respectful. Tubes and glowing fields covered her wounded body. She was stable now, but still weak. Aaron kept his distance. He did not want to appear threatening. His armor was powered down, his weapon sealed and placed on the floor where everyone could see it. He stood still, hands relaxed at his sides. This was enemy space. One wrong move would be his last. The transport shook slightly as it entered hyperspace. Stars stretched into lines, then vanished. Hours passed. No one spoke to him. The Karzal capital world appeared outside the view window, like a living jewel. Massive cities rose from the surface, grown rather than built. Towers curved like blades and flowers at the same time. Energy shields shimmered across the sky. Thousands of ships moved in perfect order. Aaron had seen many alien worlds before. None like this. The transport landed inside a royal medical complex. As the doors opened, rows of guards knelt instantly, their heads bowed low. The queen was carried out first. Aaron followed, slowly, surrounded. Whispers spread through the halls as they passed. Eyes widened. Shock, anger, confusion, fear. A human. Alive, walking behind their queen. Inside the healing chamber, the queen was placed into a larger restoration field. The healers increased the power, sealing wounds and cleansing her blood. Her breathing deepened. Her vital signs improved. Only then did the guards turn fully toward Aaron. Weapons rose. The room grew cold. Before anyone could speak, the queen lifted her head slightly. "Enough," she said, her voice weak but commanding. The guards froze. "He is under my protection." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. One of the nobles stepped forward. He was tall even for his species, his armor marked with symbols of authority. "This creature is human," he said sharply. "An enemy. It should be restrained immediately." Aaron did not react. He kept his eyes forward. The queen's gaze hardened. "This human saved my life." The noble hesitated. "That does not erase his species' crimes." "No," she agreed. "But it creates a debt."
The word spread like shock through the room. A life debt.
An ancient law, older than the empire itself. Aaron did not know the words, but he felt the change in the air. The guards lowered their weapons slightly. The nobles looked uneasy. The queen continued. "By our oldest code, a life saved must be honored. To deny it is to deny who we are." Silence followed. Finally, the noble bowed stiffly. "As you command, matron queen." Aaron was escorted to a guarded chamber. It was not a cell, but it was not freedom either. The door sealed behind him with a soft hum. He exhaled slowly and leaned against the wall. "Well," he murmured, "still alive." Time passed strangely. Alien cycles did not match human ones. He ate unfamiliar food that tasted sharp and metallic, but kept him alive. He rested when allowed. Guards watched him constantly, though none spoke. Days later, the door opened again. The queen entered, walking under her own power. Her wounds were gone, but her presence was heavier than ever. The guards remained outside. She studied Aaron quietly. "You should be dead," she said. "Yeah," he replied. "I hear that a lot." A faint sound escaped her throat. It might have been a laugh.
"You could have demanded reward," she said.
"Wealth. Protection." He shrugged. "Didn't save you for that. That," she said slowly, "is what troubles my people most." She sat across from him.
Among the Karzal, every action is taken for gain. Strength.
Advantage. Survival. "And humans?" he asked. "We are told humans are selfish," she said. "Short-lived, violent, unreliable." He smiled slightly. "We're definitely violent." "But you stayed," she continued. "You knew who I was." You knew the risk, and still you stayed. Erin met her gaze. Leaving wasn't an option I could live with. The queen leaned back.
My council is divided. Some call you a threat.
Some call you a weapon. Some call you an insult. Let me guess, Erin said. No one calls me aghast. Not yet. She looked at him carefully. Tell me, human, why do your kind fight so hard, even when you are weaker? Erin thought for a moment, because if we don't, no one else will fight for us. She considered this. Outside the chamber, the Empire stirred. News spread fast. A human saved the queen. A human walked freely in the capital. A human was protected by ancient law. Other empires took notice. Messages arrived. Questions, demands. Some accused the queen of weakness. Others warned of danger. A few were curious. Inside the council chamber, arguments erupted. He is a symbol of humiliation. He is proof our enemies are not monsters. He must be executed to preserve honor. The queen listened to them all. Then she raised her hand. My life was spared by this human, she said. I will not repay that mercy with blood. One noble stepped forward. Then what will you do, my queen? She paused. A life debt cannot be repaid with gold, she said, nor with words. The room grew quiet. It must be repaid with bond. Shock spread through the council. Far away, in his guarded chamber, Erin felt something shift. The air itself seemed heavier. He did not know it yet, but his simple choice on a battlefield had set ancient forces into motion. For the first time in generations, the Karzal Empire was changing its path, and at the center of it all stood one tired human soldier who had refused to let an enemy die alone. The capital did not sleep after the queen's announcement. Lights burned through the long alien night, and voices filled the halls of power. Rumors moved faster than ships. Some said the human would become a royal weapon. Others said he would be sacrificed to calm the nobles. A few whispered something far more dangerous, that the queen intended to bind him to the throne itself. Erin felt the change even before anyone spoke to him. The guards outside his chamber doubled. Their posture became sharper, more careful. When he walked through the garden paths under escort, servants watched him with open curiosity instead of fear. Some bowed. Others looked away, uncomfortable. He did not like it. Attention had never been his goal. On the third cycle after the council meeting, the queen summoned him. This time, he was taken not to a private chamber, but to the Hall of Ancients. It was a vast space carved from living crystal, its walls glowing softly with images of past rulers. Every step echoed. At the far end, the queen waited on a raised platform. She was not alone. Two young women stood beside her. They were clearly her daughters. Their features matched hers. Tall, armored skin shining in deep blue and silver tones. Eyes bright and intelligent. But where the queen carried the weight of centuries, they carried something else. Curiosity. Erin slowed as he approached. He bowed his head slightly. The way he had learned was respectful. Matron Queen, he said. Erin Hale, she replied. Come closer. He did. The two princesses studied him openly. One tilted her head slightly, as if trying to understand how something so small had survived so much. The other's expression was more guarded, but not hostile. These are my daughters, the queen said. Liraeth and Kaelna, Erin nodded to them. It's an honor. Liraeth's eyes widened a little. He speaks calmly, she said to her sister, not bothering to lower her voice. Kaelna replied, and without fear. Erin smiled awkwardly. I'm definitely afraid I just hide it well. That earned a brief flicker of amusement from Learaith. The queen raised a hand, and the hall grew silent. You saved my life, she said, her voice carrying easily through the space. By ancient law, I owe you a bond that cannot be broken. Aaron's stomach tightened. Your Majesty, I didn't. I know, she interrupted gently. That is why this matters. She gestured, and images appeared in the air. Symbols of old Karzal traditions, rarely spoken of in modern times. In our oldest days, the queen continued, when survival was uncertain and enemies were everywhere, life debts were repaid with unity, not contracts, not wealth, family. The word echoed. Aaron felt the shift instantly. You are not a subject of my empire, the queen said. You are not my servant. You are not my prisoner. She paused, then spoke the words that would ripple across the galaxy. I offer you my daughters in marriage. The hall went completely still. Aaron's mind went blank. He opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. With respect, he said slowly, carefully. I think there's been a misunderstanding. Learaith blinked. Kael'na's eyes narrowed slightly. The queen remained calm.
There is none.
I'm human, Aaron said. You're not. Your daughters didn't choose this. I didn't ask for this. You did not ask to save my life either, the queen replied.
Yet you did. Kael'na stepped forward. Mother, this is unprecedented. Yes, the queen said.
That is the point. Learaith studied Aaron more closely now. Do you not wish to bind yourself to us, human? Aaron met her gaze. I don't wish to be the reason anyone loses their choice. The words landed harder than any threat could have. The queen looked at him for a long moment. Then she nodded. That, she said, is why this offer stands. She turned to her daughters. You are not commanded. You are offered. Kael'na crossed her arms. The council will explode. They already are, the queen said calmly. Liai was quiet, thoughtful. Tell us something, human, she said. If you had known who our mother was, would you still have saved her? Aaron did not hesitate. Yes. Why? Because leaving her would have made me someone I don't want to be. Silence followed. Kael'na looked away first. Later, Aaron was escorted back to his chamber, his thoughts heavy and tangled. He replayed the moment, again and again. The shock, the eyes on him. The way the daughters had looked at him, not as a prize, not as a threat, but as a question. That night, unrest broke out in the lower city. Protests, shouting, noble guards clashing with citizens who demanded answers. A human did not belong in the royal line. By the next cycle, a formal trial was called, not of Aaron, but of tradition itself. Aaron was summoned to speak before the council. He stood alone in the center of the chamber, surrounded by towering figures who debated his existence as if he were an object. He weakens us. He strengthens us. He is a symbol of shame. He is a symbol of honor. Aaron waited until the noise faded. I didn't come here to change your empire, he said simply. I came here because someone was dying. The room quieted. I don't want your power, he continued. I don't want your throne. And I don't want to take anything that isn't freely given. The queen watched him closely. If your answer is no, one noble demanded, then what are you? Aaron thought for a moment. A human who kept walking. That answer spread through the chamber in whispers. Later that day, Learath requested to see him. They met in a quiet observation garden overlooking the city. The air shimmered with biolight. Far below, ships moved like slow stars. You confuse us, she said. Yeah? Aaron replied. That seems to be a talent. She smiled faintly. You speak as if you are small, but you stood between my mother and death. I stood, he said. Anyone could have. Not anyone, she replied softly. Kaelna joined them soon after. Her expression was serious. If we choose this, she said, our lives change forever.
Your enemies become ours. Our empire becomes yours.
Aaron nodded. I know. And if we refuse, then I leave, he said.
Alive. Grateful. They both studied him again, seeing not strength of body but strength of will. That night, the queen received her daughter's answer. The empire would never be the same, and far beyond the capital, forces were already moving. Enemies who feared what a bond between humanity and the Karzal could become. The choice had been made. Now, the galaxy would respond. The day of the binding ceremony arrived, under a sky filled with silver clouds. The capital was calm on the surface, but tension ran through every street and tower. Guards stood at double strength. Ships hovered in silent patrol patterns. Too many eyes were watching, both inside the Empire and far beyond it. Aaron stood in a quiet preparation chamber, wearing simple ceremonial clothing adapted for a human body. No armor, no weapon. Just cloth marked with symbols of honor. He did not feel ready. Across the palace, Liraith and Kaelna prepared as well. Their armor-like ceremonial forms were elegant and powerful, glowing faintly with living patterns. They had chosen this path freely, but that did not make it easy. What they were about to do would change not only their lives, but the balance of power in the galaxy. The queen stood alone for a moment, eyes closed, sensing the Empire through long, trained instincts. Something felt wrong. Not fear. Not doubt. Movement. Far away, beyond the outer defense ring, ships shifted course without permission. At the same moment, deep inside the palace, hidden systems activated, ancient override codes thought long forgotten. The ceremony began. Nobles filled the grand hall, arranged in layered tiers. Foreign observers watched from protected galleries, their faces unreadable. The air shimmered with energy fields and quiet expectation. Aaron walked forward first. The whispers followed him. Human, weak, dangerous, unworthy. Liraith and Kaelna joined him, standing on either side. The difference in height and form was clear, yet something about the way they stood together felt balanced. The queen raised her hands. By ancient law, she began, we gathered to... The explosion cut her off. The far wall of the hall shattered inward in a storm of fire and crystal. Alarms screamed, energy shields flared and failed. Smoke poured across the chamber. Screams erupted. Foreign soldiers, heavily armed, wearing the colors of a rival empire, poured through the breach. At the same time, palace guards turned their weapons inward. A coup. The queen reacted instantly. Protect the throne! Chaos consumed the hall. Aaron did not hesitate. He moved. He grabbed Lirath and Kaelna, pulling them down behind the shattered ceremonial platform as energy blasts tore through the air above where their heads had been.
Stay with me, he said, voice calm, sharp. Move when I say. They looked at him, surprised, but they listened.
Human reflexes were fast. Human instincts, forged through centuries of uneven war, were faster. Aaron scanned the room. The attackers were stronger, better armed. But they were rigid, predictable. He picked up a fallen guard's weapon, not alien, but a hybrid design. He tested the weight, adjusted his grip, and fired short, controlled bursts. Not at bodies, at joints. At power nodes. At sensors. Enemies fell, confused and disabled. Kealna stared.
You are unarmed? Yet you fight like this?
Humans improvise, Aaron replied. Above them, the queen was surrounded by loyal guards, but more traitors pushed in from hidden doors. The throne platform shook under impact. Aaron made a decision. Cover me, he told the sisters. Lyraeth blinked. With what? He pointed at their ceremonial arm forms. You're not unarmed either. Understanding flashed in their eyes. They rose together, alien and human, moving as one. Lyraeth projected a defensive field at an angle Aaron wouldn't have chosen, but it worked better than expected. Kealna struck from the side, precise and controlled, disabling attackers without killing them. Aaron used the opening. He sprinted straight toward the throne. Blasts tore past him. One clipped his shoulder, burning cloth and skin. He ignored it. He reached the queen just as a heavy weapon powered up behind her. He tackled her sideways. The blast took the space where she had been standing. They hit the ground hard. For a brief moment, the queen stared at him in disbelief. You should not be here, she said.
Yeah, Aaron replied, breathing hard. Story of my life. Above them, a massive figure stepped forward. A noble commander who had opposed the bond from the start. You would bind our empire to weakness, the traitor roared. To a short-lived creature! Aaron stood, placing himself between the commander and the queen. You picked the wrong species to call weak, he said quietly. The commander charged. Aaron waited until the last second, then rolled under the swing, slammed the weapon into the commander's knee joint, and followed with a direct energy discharge to the control core. The massive alien collapsed. Silence spread in a widening circle. Outside, the palace shields flared back to life. Loyal fleets arrived, cutting off the invading ships. The coup collapsed as quickly as it had begun. Minutes later, the hall was secured. Smoke drifted upward. Wounded were treated. Traitors were restrained. Aaron leaned against a broken pillar, blood soaking into his sleeve. Lyraeth approached him slowly. You were injured, he shrugged. I've had worse. Kealna looked at the fallen commander.
You could have fled. Couldn't, Aaron said. Would have left people behind.
The queen stood before him, her expression unreadable. You stood where no alien commander would, she said. You placed yourself between death and others without hesitation. Aaron met her gaze. That's kind of our thing. She turned to the hall, her voice rising. Let it be known, she declared, that today a human defended this throne when many of my own would not. The observers recorded everything. Across the galaxy, the footage spread. A human, bleeding, standing before an alien throne. Not as a conqueror, as a shield. Later, as emergency repairs began and the city settled into uneasy calm, Aaron sat alone on a balcony overlooking the capital. Lyraeth and Kealna joined him. The choice we made, Kealna said quietly. It has already cost blood. Aaron nodded. Change always does. Lyraeth looked at the stars. Do humans regret such choices? He thought for a moment. Sometimes, but we regret doing nothing more. They stood together in silence. The galaxy had seen what happened today, and it would never forget. The final bond was yet to be sealed. But the war for the future had already begun. The city was quiet for the first time in cycles. Smoke had cleared, the halls had been repaired, and the injured had been tended. The streets buzzed softly with energy, but there was no chaos, no sudden alarms. The palace, scarred but standing, seemed to breathe again, as if it had survived something deadly and grown stronger because of it. Aaron Hale walked through the grand halls, flanked by Lyraeth and Kealna. Their ceremonial armor had been repaired after the coup, and the glow of their patterns seemed to pulse more brightly than ever. Though the three were humans and Karzal together in a way the Empire had never known, they moved as a unit, unspoken understanding connecting them. The Queen waited at the top of the grand platform. She looked out over the assembled council, her posture regal, her presence commanding. The nobles who had opposed the human bond were present as well. Some bowed stiffly, others avoided direct eye contact. All had witnessed what no one could deny. Aaron Hale, a human, had saved the Queen and defended her empire when it seemed impossible. "Today," the Queen said, her voice carrying through the hall, "we have witnessed courage, loyalty, and the truth that strength is not measured only by size or armor, but by action and heart. A human has stood among us and proven these truths." Aaron shifted slightly, unaccustomed to praise, especially from a ruler whose species had once been an enemy. He looked at Lyrith and Kaelna, both standing tall beside him. Their expressions were serious but calm, showing that the choice to stand with him had been made freely, without fear or hesitation. The Queen continued, "The bonds of life debt have been honored. The bonds of choice have been respected. Aaron Hale, will you take these daughters of the Karzal as allies, as equals, and as partners, not out of obligation, but out of your will?" Aaron swallowed. He had never thought he would find himself in this position. It was beyond any mission, beyond any duty he had known. But when he looked at the daughters, he saw not alien royalty, but individuals who had chosen him as much as he had chosen to protect them. "I will," he said finally, his voice steady. "I will honor them as allies and equals, with respect and loyalty." The hall was silent. Then Lyrith stepped forward, her glowing armor pulsing with her approval. "I choose the same," she said simply. "Not because it is commanded, not because tradition demands, but because it is my will." Kaelna followed. "And I choose as well," she said. "The human who stood beside us, who did not fear us or our enemies, has earned my respect. I give my choice freely." The Queen's eyes softened, then let the bond be sealed, not by law alone, but by mutual choice. Let the galaxy witness that humans and Karzal can stand together, as family, not enemies.
Outside, the capital erupted in quiet celebration.
Citizens had gathered in the lower plazas, watching the events broadcast by palace transmissions. They had expected fear, weakness, or humiliation. Instead, they saw courage, loyalty, and unity. Whispers spread. The human soldier who saved the Queen had now become a symbol not of submission, but of honor. Aaron, Lyrith, and Kaelna left the platform together. The halls that had once been full of tension now felt different. Guards bowed as they passed, not in fear, but in respect. Courtiers and nobles whispered, not in suspicion, but in awe. The Empire itself seemed to shift subtly, recognizing that something new had begun. In the private gardens, overlooking the luminescent city, the three of them paused. Lyrith turned to Aaron. "Do you understand what this means?" she asked softly. "Not just for us, but for the entire Empire?" Aaron looked out at the city lights. "I think so," he said. "It means trust can cross the boundaries we never thought possible, that action matters more than history or fear. That sometimes humans can be more than what anyone expected." Kaelna nodded. "It also means responsibility. We are now connected, not just to each other, but to the Empire, to its people, and to every future our enemies might try to claim."
Aaron placed a hand over theirs.
"Then we face it together," he said. "Not as ruler and subjects, but as allies, friends, and family."
The Queen joined them, her presence calm and assured.
"You have all chosen well," she said.
And so has the Empire. Let our enemies know this. A bond of honor is stronger than any army. A life saved can change the course of history. Days later, Aaron was invited to speak before the council once more. He had never imagined himself addressing the rulers of an alien empire, but when he stepped into the hall, he did not hesitate. Today, he said, voice carrying clearly, we prove that courage and loyalty matter more than fear, that humans are not weak, that we are capable of honor, and that choices define us more than heritage or weapons. The council listened. Some nodded, some frowned, but none interrupted. They could not deny what had occurred. Let this bond be a symbol, Aaron continued, not of domination, not of conquest, but of cooperation. Let it remind every empire, every species, that strength is found in action, in respect, and in standing for what is right, even when the odds are against you. Outside the chamber, citizens watched the broadcast. A human had spoken words that resonated not only across Karzal space, but beyond, into human colonies and allied worlds. For the first time in generations, humans were not seen as weak, expendable, or foolish. They were respected, feared by some, admired by others. But above all, they were recognized as capable of greatness. In the palace gardens that evening, Lyriath and Kaelna walked beside Aaron, their steps slow but confident. Do you ever regret it? Lyriath asked. Saving the queen? Coming here? Aaron shook his head. Never. Every choice I've made since then has been because of it. Every step. Every risk. Every moment. Kaelna glanced at him. You are not like any human we were told about. You do not fight for power. You fight for what is right. That is rare, even among our kind. Aaron smiled faintly. I fight for people. Simple as that. The three of them stopped at the edge of the garden, looking out at the horizon, where ships glimmered against the stars. The galaxy stretched endlessly before them, full of challenges, threats, and opportunities. But for the first time, Aaron felt something he had never felt before. Belonging, not as a visitor, not as a soldier, but as part of something larger than himself. The Queen joined them, silent, watching the stars. The Empire will remember today, she said softly. Not because of battles or victories, but because one life, spared and honored, changed everything. Aaron looked at her. Then we keep honoring it, he said, together. And so it was. The human who had once been alone on a battlefield, facing impossible odds, now stood at the center of an alien empire, not as a conqueror, not as a prisoner, but as a symbol that courage, honor, and the choices of one person could shift the destiny of many. The daughters had chosen freely. The Empire had witnessed bravery, and the galaxy had begun to see humans in a new light. Aaron Hale, a human soldier, had saved a queen, gained allies, and united worlds. And humanity had earned its place among the stars, not as a tool, not as a subject, but as family. In the quiet that followed, Aaron, Lyriath, and Kaelna stood together, watching the lights of the capital shimmer. The future was uncertain, filled with potential danger and new challenges, but they would face it side by side, as equals, as partners, as family. The galaxy had changed, and so had humanity.